Thank you for joining ntTV News at Noon. I'm Soren Dorado.
And I'm Mark Barrera. Last Friday, 4 U.S. citizens were kidnapped in the border city of Matamoros after being caught in the crossfire of rival cartel groups. The group of Americans who had traveled from South Carolina so that one of them could get a medical procedure from a local Matamoros doctor have finally been found. 2 dead and 2 alive. Of the latter 2, 1 is severely injured.
Gun violence is still at the top of the United States problem pyramid. Reports show that the country has already surpassed 100 mass shootings this year. According to Gun Violence Archive, we're only a few days ahead as the country didn't surpass 100 until March 19th of last year. An independent global health research group says that the U.S. has more deaths from gun violence than any other developed country.
There are new safety protocols in place for Norfolk Southern after disaster strikes again in Ohio. Here's CNN John Lornick with the story.
For Norfolk Southern, it was like deja vu all over again. On Saturday, one of the company's trains derailed in Springfield, Ohio.
I started recording and you could see the train like get off into gravel, and then it started collapsing and backing up.
There were no injuries reported in Saturday's accident, and the track in that area is reopened with no risk to nearby residents, according to local officials.
There were 4 tanker cars, but they were not carrying hazardous materials, and they did not carry hazardous materials prior to the derailment.
But the Norfolk Southern derailment last month in East Palestine, Ohio, did have hazardous materials, and the National Transportation Safety Board is taking a closer look.
We will look at their management practices, their policies. We'll also look at safety culture. That's an important part of this.
Norfolk Southern says it's addressing this issue with a 6-point plan focused on boosting safety, including the enhancement of the hot-bearing detectors, which can trigger an alarm if a potential failure or high temperatures are detected.
We're cooperating with the NTSB, we're cooperating with the local, state, federal resources to make sure that we investigate them fully, understand what could be done better, and make Norfolk Southern an even safer railroad.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Well, Soren, in other news today, when I was walking into the studio, it actually felt really good.
It did. Our weather anchor Blaine Tatum has more on this beautiful weather we're having and if it's sticking around. Blaine?
Yeah, guys, when I was driving in this morning, it was a little bit foggy, but that fog is kind of cleared out, turned into a little bit of clouds. So currently we're sitting right around 77 degrees, feeling a little warm out there. This suit was a little stuffy, but the wind's keeping it down around 71, so it's still bearable. As we get into tonight, we will see that the weather's going to drop just a little bit, and that wind's going to pick up and blow in a little bit of those storms we're expecting that I'll tell you about a little bit later in the show. Moving on to tomorrow, though, it's going to continue to be pretty nice. It's going to get a little cooler with the chance of storms in the afternoon. I'll tell you a little bit more about that later in the show. For all I have, back to the desk.
Thanks, Blaine. When we come back, we'll take a look at health news for you and your family.
And what the Denton community is doing for Women's History. We'll be right back.
Has the weight of stress and anxiety ever felt too heavy to overcome? Wish there was a safe place to confide in?
A-E-I-O-U,
Wish
and
granted.
most of the times, why?
At UNT, we offer counseling and testing services to students located on the 3rd floor of Chestnut Hall. UNT, we're here for you.
Live from UNT, it's Wheel of Culture!
Welcome back to Wheel of Culture. Our contestant is so close to solving this puzzle. But first, it's time to give the wheel a spin. Wow, you landed on London, one of the many places where you and your fellow students can go on a chance to experience new culture. But only if you can solve this puzzle.
I'd like to solve the puzzle. Study abroad.
That's correct. You just won yourself a trip to study abroad in London, England, and you can too. Just go to studyabroad.unt.edu to see deadlines and apply for scholarships. Get ready to study abroad.
I was definitely trying to hide my
So a man's been walking in the desert for days at a time. He finally comes across a bar and orders a Coke.
That's not funny.
Eh?
Virtual reality has transformed the world of gaming, but researchers at Michigan State University believe it could also revolutionize healthcare. An ongoing study at MSU College of Nursing has turned its focus to in-home caregivers and their mental health. Dr. Rebecca Leto says caregivers have a particularly stressful job and it can keep them from having a full and functional social life. In her study, she'll send a group of caregivers home with a virtual reality headset and run tests to see if the scenes it produces brings them any relief.
Well, if you're looking for your summer body, it's going to have to wait, as scientists found that the very popular keto diet may double someone's expectancy to develop a heart disease. The low carb, high fat diet has shown to produce higher levels of cholesterol after scientists in the United Kingdom followed participants for about a decade. Researchers compared about 1,200 people on a regular diet and several others on the keto diet, and found that their study found that those on keto had an increased rate, but did not fully determine keto as the main cause.
Breathing might become a little harder as liquid albuterol is in short supply. CNN's Mandy Gaither has more on what to expect.
It's a potentially life-saving drug that's been on the U.S. Food and Drug Administration's shortages list since October, and the liquid albuterol scarcity is expected to get worse after a major supplier to U.S. hospitals recently shut down.
We want to make sure that everyone is prepared and that we get ahead of this problem before it becomes disastrous for so many people.
Products from the one remaining major domestic source of liquid albuterol are on back order. Different areas are experiencing different supply issues. At Nationwide Children's Hospital in Ohio, their stock will depend on demand over the next couple of weeks.
We continue to receive shipments periodically, somewhat unexpectedly, but ultimately it's something that we are continuing to monitor to make sure that we have the drug that is needed for our patients.
Allergist Juanita Mora with the American Lung Association is advising her patients to make sure their albuterol inhaler is on hand and not expired. She says anyone who can't find the liquid form of the medicine can use the inhaler instead. Right now, albuterol inhalers don't seem to be impacted by the shortage.
It works just as well at opening up the lungs, especially when there's wheezing, shortness of breath, cough, or inflammation of the airways.
Mora says not to panic. Supply priority will be given to hospitals to treat those experiencing emergencies.
If you already have albuterol in liquid form at home, there's no need to rush and get more.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Well, Soren, are you looking forward to the rain later this week?
Oh, definitely. It'll be a nice change from last week's heat. Let's toss it over to Blaine Tatum for this week's conditions.
Thanks, guys. So I'm over here at the weather. Sorry, starting out strong here. So as you look across North Texas here, we are having some really nice upper 60s to mid 70s weather over the next couple of days. But as we zoom out just a hair here, we will see the same weather continues across the state here, except up north where that storm is blowing in that we're going to see a little bit later today. So up here in Oklahoma City, right here, you got 48. The rest of Texas sitting around 77, 71, somewhere in there. El Paso's the exception way over out here. So let's go ahead and take a look at our 7-day forecast. And as we look across the next week or so heading into spring break, it's going to get a little chilly and a little rainy the next couple of days. See that 90%, 70% rain way down here at the beginning of the next couple of days. And then the cloudy weather sticks around into the weekend, but by Monday and Tuesday, most of those clouds are going to head out a little bit, and we'll get some really nice weather heading into spring break next week. But the lows are going to be a little low, so you may need a sweater in the morning. That's all I have for you for weather today, so I'll back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Blaine. Well, I don't know about you, Soren, but now that the weather is feeling nicer, I'm starting to wanting to do things around the city.
Oh, so am I, especially with spring break coming up around the corner. Our reporter Carla Castillo is at one of Denton's public libraries to tell us about an interesting exhibit. Carla?
That's right, guys. The month of March is all about talking about and learning about the obstacles and challenges that women have faced throughout the years to be who they are today. Here in the city of Denton, the Denton Public Library South Branch is holding an exhibit titled Rural Texas Women at Work from 1930s to 1960s. This exhibit showcases how rural women used to live by showing text and photographs from this time period. If you're interested in learning more, the Denton Public Library is hosting programs for you. These programs consist of interactive activities to learning how life was in rural Texas. The next event is this Thursday, March 9th at 4 p.m. called Life on the Range, followed by a make-cream workshop March 21st, a Through the Lens program March 23rd, and the last program being a felted soap workshop March 29th. The South Branch Library is located on 3238 Teasley Lane. This exhibit is geared toward anyone who just wants to learn more about women's history, so feel free to visit this South Branch Library anytime this March. But this is all I have for you guys. I'll go back to you, Mark, at the studio.
Thanks, Carla. There will also be a Women's History Month event coming up this weekend, this weekend called Celebrating Women Who Tell Our Stories. It'll be at the Martin Luther King Jr. Recreation Center at 10 a.m. this Saturday. The event is co-sponsored the Denton County Alumni Chapter and the Delta Sigma Theta sorority.
Okay, if you're in a mood for an outing, you may be interested in something that can enhance your artistic ability.
And if you like art, let's see what Carmen has for today's Seen and Heard.
All right, if you have an interest for art, why not come and paint with Painting with a Twist? The studio is making its mark. Take a look. Painting with a Twist is a well-known art studio that is located in many cities such as Denton. Manager Jacoby opened the studio for the community to enjoy. Step into a place where creativity is embraced. If you are 5 or older, you are perfect for this experience.
I like it. It's a good business model. That's the reason why I decided to get into it, but as well as it's a good escape for people, especially people that don't normally do art or paint.
Painting with a Twist has awesome deals for students. If you are looking for an affordable outing, this may be a place for you.
This event is we have paired up with Lucky Lou's here in town. It's actually right across the street from UNT, and they pay our artist fee so that way we can offer events to students at a cheaper price, about half off what we offer here in studio. So we have 2 events coming up. We usually do first or second Wednesday of every month with them. And then that way, like if you are 21 or older, you can participate in supporting local while supporting local.
Painting with a Twist is open daily, both morning and evening time. So what are you waiting for? Explore your creative side here in West Oak Street. Take your time. There are plenty of opportunities. I am definitely in a mood for arts and craft, so you might catch me there this weekend. That's all I have for today with Seen and Heard. Back at the desk.
Thanks, Carmen. After the break, consumer news is changing everywhere.
And sports with Gabby Pimpins later on. Stay with us.
Are you feeling okay? No, I've been feeling gross all week. Maybe we should go get a COVID test. But I already have all 3 of my shots. Yeah, but you can still get it. I mean, maybe we should go get one just in case. Yeah, you're right. We have that party and all that. Yeah. Where do we even get tested here? Let me check.
You can find free COVID testing sites at the University Union, room 381 on weekdays, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., and on weekends, 1 p.m. to 7 p.m., and at Chestnut Hall, room 120 from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. You have to show the QR code given to you when you arrive for an appointment. Tests take no longer than 10 minutes to complete. Results will be sent through text or email within the next 48 hours.
I got a negative COVID test. Me too. Oh my god, let's go to the party. Yes. Let's go.
With summer just up ahead, many are looking for new furry friends to bring home. But there are some big issues when it comes to having animals in such a student-dense city. ntTV's Lily Kosh explains how you can adopt a pup and help it find its forever home.
Another day of full house in the big breed kennels has come and gone with no sign of relief for the future. Because of the young college population in Denton, many big dogs are surrendered and looked over at the shelters due to the amount of care and space they need.
We have a lot of college students, so we have a huge influx of large breed animals that come in, but finding homes for them tends to be hard because of their energy level.
With nowhere else to go, all lost, unwanted, and stray dogs are taken to the City of Denton Linda McNatt Animal Shelter, where they then stay until adopted or claimed. Only 60 kennels available, it is hard for the shelter to provide housing, food, and care for all dogs in need.
If I could turn every one of these guys into a Shih Tzu or a Yorkie, we'd have an empty kennel. You know, we have a lot of apartments here in Denton, and so the housing just isn't always there for the big dogs, or people think that it's not there for big dogs.
You may not be able to take a furry friend home with you at the moment, but Shelley urges the community to keep them in mind this holiday season.
If you can't adopt, that's okay. Maybe you can foster, or maybe just take a dog out for a day. You know, a volunteer, come get them out of the shelter. We get days off, they don't.
Amazon is expected to close some of its cashier-free stores after pausing renovations on its second headquarters in Northern Virginia. These stores were made in an attempt at more convenience for shoppers, as customers did not have to check out or scan anything. Starting April 1st, they will be closing 6 stores in total, 2 in New York City and 4 in San Francisco. The 2 temporarily closed stores in Seattle will also permanently close. Amazon also confirmed that in January, they will cut 18,000 jobs globally.
If you are a Verizon customer, we might have some bad news for you. Your cell phone bill might go up. The company said that it will be increasing its older cell phone plans. Verizon is hoping that this increase makes people change to their newest plan, 5G. Don't stress if you don't want to change plans though, as the increase is only $2. Verizon follows AT&T, who also bumped their cell phone plans last year.
The Uber app is making things easier for people who travel a lot. The ride-sharing app also announced that it will be adding a step-by-step instruction guide instruction them to the airport towards their Uber pickup area. These instructions will also include pictures to make it easier for their users. This new feature will be available in 30 airports around the world. This will also help with airport congestion. The ride-sharing app also announced that it will be expanding its Uber Reserve offering so the users can reserve their vehicles up to 90 days prior.
And more news for air travelers. It's now becoming cheaper and more convenient for those who travel with children. How is this happening? CNN reporter Cole Higgins has more on this story.
More airlines taking action amid soaring pressure from the federal government about dropping so-called junk fees.
I'm expecting that the rest of the airlines who have yet to announce that they're getting rid of them will soon be announcing that in the next few weeks.
Scott Keyes, founder of the flight deal website Going, says family seating fees could one day be a thing of the past. Alaska Airlines is joining a growing list of carriers now guaranteeing your family will sit together and they won't charge you for it. It comes as the Transportation Department releases a new online dashboard, allowing travelers to see which airlines charge and don't charge families to select seats next to each other.
The Biden administration has really been waging a war on junk fees since the State of the Union.
American and Frontier Airlines have also rolled out similar family seating policies, guaranteeing children will be seated next to an accompanying adult without a fee. And United Airlines recently announced a policy update as well, but stopped short of offering a guarantee. Travel experts say it's a welcome travel trend for families who have been forced to pay fees, often adding up to hundreds of dollars per trip.
Even if you were traveling with young children, if you didn't want to pay the oftentimes, $50 or more per person to pick your seats, you then were at risk of getting separated on the plane.
For Consumer Watch, I'm Cole Higgins.
Speaking of airlines, Soren, have you kept up with the high-flying NBA recently?
Sadly, I have not, but our news reporter, Gabby Pippins, will give us some more information on that.
That's right, guys. We'll be discussing some recent NBA controversy, along with how our Dallas Mavericks are doing, and how NCAA football will endure some changes right after this. Two-time NBA All-Star Ja Morant has recently been under fire after some incidents that occurred last summer were uncovered. He has allegedly been involved in two confrontations, one involving a 17-year-old boy and another with a mall security guard. Both confrontations took a dangerous turn, with violence ensuing, and neither one of the alleged crimes led to arrests. The Grizzlies star was also shown on Instagram Live this past weekend flashing a firearm, which led to a 2-game suspension. The team has reportedly met to address his behavior, and Ja Morant is expected to miss more games as his incidents are legally reviewed, both by the National Basketball Association and local police. In other news, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving faced off as the Phoenix Suns took on our Dallas Mavericks at the American Airlines Center on Sunday. This game was huge for both teams as they each had something to prove, and this was a big test for the anticipated dynamic duo of Luka and Irving. This game began as a tough climb for the Mavericks as they trailed at the end of the first quarter, but with help from Tim Hardaway Jr., they took the lead at the half. Now, the second half was a true battle between superstars as the lead wavered back and forth, with Devin Booker and Durant barely maintaining the third quarter lead. It all came down to the fourth, where Luka was able to tie the game a few times, but in the end, the Suns outshined the Mavs, leading to an unfortunate loss, 130-126. And finally, although NCAA football is several months away, it's never too early to get a glimpse into what we should expect for the coming seasons. ntTV's Tyler Luker has more on what changes to expect.
The official Twitter account for the College Football Playoff announced the number of teams would increase from 4 teams to 12 teams starting in 2024. In the near 10-year history of the playoff, there have been some controversies with the selection process. The NCAA hopes expanding the playoff will help resolve this issue. Nick Carparelli, the executive director of Bowl Season, a company that oversees many bowl games, believes the expansion will be beneficial to college football.
If you win a conference championship, and of the 10 conferences, you're in the top 6 of all the conference champions, you're automatically in the playoff. So I think this new system gives a school like North Texas a greater opportunity than they've ever had before.
The only non-Power 5 team ever selected was Cincinnati in the 2021-2022 season. WFAA sports anchor Joe Trahan said the expansion gives small schools a seat at the table.
It's going to be difficult to break through that glass ceiling just because of the way things are set up, but I do think it'll make it interesting, and maybe they don't win a national championship. They just got to get one upset in the playoff.
Trahan also said that this can crack the door open for North Texas football.
It will be a mountain to climb for a school like UNT, but at least now with an expanded playoff, you have a chance to climb it, right? Whereas before, there probably was none.
North Texas will move to the American Conference this fall, a year before the expansion of the playoff.
That's all I've got for sports, and now I'm going to be joining you guys at the desk.
Well, guys, today is National Cereal Day.
Yes! Yeah.
It's orange.
This amazing kind of breakfast started all the way back to 1800 with the Kellogg brothers creating the one and only cornflakes.
All right, Gabby, I think you got us some cereal that we can pick out.
Cornflakes are all right, but we got to pick our favorite. Got Frosted Flakes, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, but these are for me and for Blaine, our weather boy.
Okay.
And now, got Captain Crunch also.
And I think, Soren,
I'll take the Frosted Flakes.
Frosted Flakes? Yeah, that's a good choice, yeah.
And then I'm gonna join you and Blaine with the Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I think this cereal right here is goated.
Definitely. Cinnamon Toast Crunch is the
Definitely
best.
something. But I have the win all be all Fruit Loops.
All right, yes. Fruit Loops are really good too.
What do y'all think of the Captain Crunch? Do you think it's just sitting
I'll claim
there?
it. I'll claim it. Captain Crunch is good. You know, there's nothing wrong with it. You just have to eat it within like 2 minutes. But
That's like Fruity Pebbles too.
Yeah.
They're all soggy. All right. Well, thanks y'all for joining us at ntTV News at noon.
Join us again tonight at 6 and tomorrow at noon here on North Texas Television.
So you said you don't like Cinnamon Toast Crunch?
No.